Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, hello.
Today is Super Bowl Sunday. If you're watching this, I am in my cheetah print football outfit. I'm very excited to be wearing that. And I actually don't give a fuck about who wins. Sorry for swearing already.
I'm in a Utah Ute shirt because I don't like any of the teams playing and my team didn't make it. And I thought it would be weird if I wore a 49ers shirt. So I just went with a good old college football.
I think that's fine. So we are switching things up a little bit and we are going to start with our topic today and we'll see how that goes. So today we plan to talk about finances 101. And I don't know if I'm qualified for this topic, but I think it's helpful.
I think it's helpful too because this has been a very long journey for me to get to the point that I'm comfortable with finances. And yeah, definitely not qualified to give advice, but there are little things that I learned along the way.
Yeah, I would say that I don't know. I don't feel like I have like my shit together. I was actually just telling Wally the other day, like, because we always talk like we don't have any family, we don't have like parents that help us with anything. Like we've never had our parents help us financially. Like that's just not an option for us. And we always talk about how like when people have parents, it's usually a lot easier. Like A, you have advice from someone, and B, oftentimes they buy you stuff sometimes or just help you along the way, and like that's never been the case for us. So we've never had anyone give us like financial support and we've never had anyone give us financial advice. And for some reason I've always just been like, I don't like to spend money unless it has like a purpose. And Wally's also very giving with money. Like he doesn't really like, he spends money, but he's not like, if he gets money, he's not like, this is my money. So like we luckily had like a really good dynamic around that. And I think that's what's helped us get to a point where we feel like we're kind of figuring it out. But if you follow me on my personal Instagram, I had posted the other day about like how I just learned that I was like being so stupid with my savings account and opened like a high yield savings account. Still don't really understand what that means, but like the amount of interest I was getting at my stupid credit union compared to what I was getting at this high yield savings is insanely different. And like no one, like just no one ever talked to me about those things. And like I randomly got an offer and was like, I should probably look into this. But I don't think a couple years ago I would have been in the headspace to look into it, but I don't know. I think that's why it's important to talk about it, and hopefully we can help someone somewhere feel comfortable as well.
I agree. Yeah, my interest that I get for my savings account through America First is literally like 20 cents.
Yeah, I got $1.18 last month and I was like, this, I have got to change something. Like I have a chunk of money sitting here doing absolutely the bare minimum in this bank account, and that's just stupid. Like I haven't always even had money in savings. Let's start there. Like I think society and a bunch of people on the internet right now are making people feel like you are supposed to just have all of this money saved. And I'm sorry, like that's not me. I have not ever been able to really have savings until probably the last couple of years we started being able to do that, but it's hard. Like these people that just like are super rigid and good at figuring this out and like always have savings, like I don't really know how they do it, to be honest. Like I like to live life, and that's probably not the best approach, but I would rather be enjoying the money than putting it in savings. And that's risky, but I don't know. I just can't figure it out. I do think that like I see a ton of stuff on the internet that's like, you should have this much in savings. And I'm like, how?
Yeah, I saw something the other day and it was like, by the time you're 30, you should have 3 years of bills in your savings or something. And I was like, what? 3 years? Like, that's crazy. And I mean, maybe I know I'm not smart with money. Let me start there. I am not good with money. It's been a very hard road for me to go down with the money situation, because I enjoy spending money. Just like I'm an emotional eater, I'm also an emotional spender. And I just spend money on shit that I really don't need to be spending money on. And it's so annoying, but I've just really never known how to break that habit.
Well, and like, I don't know if this is like how your upbringing was, but for me, like my grandma is who I learned how to spend money from, and like she was an emotional spender. And when my grandpa died, especially, and she got a bunch of money, she was constantly either like stressing over money because she was worried about it going away, which like naturally your husband just died, who was your sole source of income.
Yeah.
And then like she also like she would just buy based off of how she was feeling. Like if we went school shopping and she was happy with you, you could get whatever you wanted. Like there was no budget. If she had been upset with you recently and you went school shopping, she'd be like, you actually don't get anything. You get to wear your clothes next year. But then like a couple months later, she's happy with you and she's buying you all this stuff. Like, so I know for sure, like one of my sisters is like that. She is an emotional spender. She spends based off of like how she's feeling. And there's times when I do that too. Like I, for some reason, have never, I think it's because I'm like far too rigid and responsible in life, but I've actually like not had as big of a problem with it. But like, there's times when like I'm just feeling in a mood and I buy something and it makes me happy and I don't regret it, honestly. But that's why I don't have savings.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think one thing too is like, so you watch the people you are growing up with and how they spend, and you'll naturally start to spend similar to them. And unless like your family's really talking to you a lot about like A, how to get ahead, B, when to start saving, and C, how to spend, you really don't have any idea unless you just kind of figure it out yourself. And you can like listen to books and podcasts and all of these things, but it only works if you are in that position to begin with. And I think that that's what is really challenging with what's put out into the world these days is they'll post a bunch of stuff and it's like you like with where I'm at, I can't get to that level right now. And then you start to feel bad because it's like you should have 3 years of your bills and your savings by 30. And it's like, well, I'm almost 33 and I definitely don't have that.
Yeah. And when I saw that, I did like kind of beat myself up. I was like, damn, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, how are 30-year-olds, especially in today's time, saving that much money? Like, we spend a decent amount of on bills. Like, our house isn't the cheapest, our cars aren't the cheapest, like, and stuff has raised. Like, I was so shocked by our power bill last month. It literally almost made me puke. Like, when I saw, I was like, what are we doing? Like, we were out of town for a week even, and it's still this much money. Like, I don't understand. But like, I definitely was like, what am I doing wrong here? But I just don't think it's a reality for me unless I want to completely change my lifestyle to save 3 years worth of bills.
Well, and I think like a lot of it depends on your income. It depends like what your bills are and what your income is. And that's like a huge thing. Like one of the things for me that I always like reflect back on is like in my early 20s, like it was hard. Like it was hard to pay bills. It was hard to still live life and go out with friends. Like if we chose to go out and go to the movies and do all this stuff on the weekends, we felt it in our bank account like heavily. Or if we were going to go out drinking, like think about how hard it was for us to like buy alcohol back then.
That's
And
why we bought the disgusting cheap stuff, because that was all we could afford.
yeah, and like in my mind at that time, I wasn't thinking I shouldn't go do this. I need to save money. We have to save our money. We can't go live life. I've always felt like I work so that I can enjoy life. And maybe that's a wrong mentality, but I think America specifically tells people like you have to reach a financial status, you need to have all of this stability, go to work, achieve, save, be financially wealthy. And people are missing out on life. And I've just never wanted to live that life. And so that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not the best person to give advice. I do think I have some good advice that I can give, but if you want to be in that like American society culture of like, I want to be the wealthiest, I want to have all of these things, you probably need to go listen to finance podcasts if you were like regular people like Taylor and I, and you're just kind of trying to figure it out, we'll probably have some good advice for you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One of the things for me too, though, is like, I would say in my 20s at some point, I think I was probably 23. I was watching like how we were spending, and it would stress me out, and I don't like feeling stressed over my finances. And so that's when I kind of started to really dive into how can I get some sense of control and figure it out. And so what we did is we set up two different bank accounts. One bank account, one person's paycheck went into, and the other bank account, the other person's went into. Like Wally and I were fortunate enough that one person's income normally would cover most of our bills. One of us would have to supplement a little bit, but that was fine. It was just easier to like separate them out. This is our bill account and this is our spending account. And so whoever was making the most money at the time, their check would go into the bill account, and then the other person's would go into our spending account. And then what I did is I created like a spreadsheet of all of our like regular standard bills that are like, these will happen every single month, no matter what. These are bills that are required for our survival. And I like listed them out in the spreadsheet, how much they would be once I paid them, and like how to calculate what I would need. And that's what would tell me like, okay, how much do I need out of the other person's paycheck to pay for these bills? And then I would transfer that as soon as that person got paid. And then we would have our spending money, and that's what we would have for the rest of the month. And that really helped us in like our younger phase of trying to figure out finances, to get control of it, to see what our bills actually are, and then to see how much we're actually making and how much we really just spend. And I think that helped us get to the point where we are now, for sure, because we started doing that, because so many people just have money coming in and out of their bank account and they're just not tracking it. So that's one thing that helped me for sure when I was feeling like a little out of control with our finances.
Yeah, and that you shared that with me, and I started doing that probably, what was it, two years ago, maybe?
It was when we turned 30. We
Yeah,
talked about it on the beach.
yeah. So almost 3 years ago, because we're getting old, but that has been so helpful because I was one of those people like, so let me back up a little bit, is I never really budgeted. Like I was a server for 10 years of my life, and anytime money was short, I would just pick up a shift, and then that would like, I would make on average between $80 and $100 a night. And so that would like supplement whatever I needed. So I just never, which I look back and it's stupid, but I just never felt the need to budget because I would just take care of it. I would just work more and it would be fine. But once I got like a regular 9 to 5 job and I couldn't do that, I had to focus on living 2 weeks at a time. And I had moved out of my mom's house, and Tony and I were separated. I had my own apartment. Like I couldn't just not pay my rent. So that's what really kind of like made me start to budget things. But then I was budgeting things, but I was getting so overwhelmed because we had so many things coming in and out of the account with what we were spending. And I didn't have like a clear picture of what we were spending every month and all the things. So I did what Shelby did and had the 2 separate bank accounts. And I pay all the bills in our family, and Tony has his own account. And then I have my own account, my own spending. And then we have our joint account, which is where our bills come from. And so I just like pay all of our bills every 2 weeks that like I need to pay. And then I send us both like an amount of money that we are able to spend until we get our next paycheck. So Tony gets paid the same days every month. I get paid every other week. So that makes it a little difficult because I don't have like, we don't get paid the same days. So some months it works out that like we get paid once a week, and those months are great. But some months it's like we get paid every 2 weeks or whatever it is. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I also write everything down, which probably makes Shelby cringe that I have like a little bill planner type thing. And I just have like different colors of pens. So like my automatic payments are in orange. My payments that I pay are purple. Our income is pink. And savings is red. And so like, I know when I just automatically open up my notebook, I know exactly what is what because of the colors of the pen. So that probably makes things a little bit more difficult, but in my ADD brain, that's what makes sense to me. I tried to make a spreadsheet on the computer and I was just like way too overwhelmed. So I just do it like that every month. And yeah, I just write down like the dates of everything and all of that. So that makes it easy for me.
I think that's great. And I think that like it doesn't matter how you go about it. What really matters is that you're writing it down somewhere and you're breaking it up. Like you're literally calculating and you're identifying what each thing is. And I think it's important to identify between what are bills and what are wants. So like I would consider our cable bill a want, my Peloton bill a want, like those aren't things that I have to have. And if you're trying to get to a point where you're getting ahead, you really need to evaluate your wants and decide, can we cut these out for a little bit so we have extra money to either pay off credit card debt or some other debts that we have, and then get to a point where you can have those back. Because I think sometimes people stretch themselves so much because they forget that those are actually not needs to survive, they're wants. And can you get rid of them so you can allocate those funds somewhere else? But you will never identify that if you do not list them out, identify how much they are, and like really look at what your expenses really to their core are.
And that's something big that I started doing ever since we got engaged, because now we have like a wedding and a yard that we have to pay for, and we have a deadline that it has to be paid by. So ever since we got engaged in November, so I guess it's only been a few months, but I've gone through on the first of every month and I have looked at the previous month. So on February 1st, I looked at January and I literally printed out the month of January from my bank account, and I got the different color highlighters and I highlighted everything, and I figured out how much we were spending going out to eat, how much we were spending on groceries, how much we were spending on gas, like just to get a full picture of everything that we were spending money on and seeing where we could cut down. So if our going out amount was way more than our eating in amount, like that's a clear sign to me that like we need to stop eating out so much and we need to eat more at home, because we were throwing a lot of food away, but yet our going out bill was outrageous. So really dialing it down has really helped me to know exactly where our money is going. And it really opens your eyes. Like, do I need to get coffee 3 times a week? No, I absolutely don't, because it's costing almost $30 every week in just coffee. Like, I don't need to do that. So there's little tweaks that you can do that really can help you save money.
Yes, I totally agree with that too. I use an app called Rocket Money. I do have to pay $6 a month for it, but it makes it so that I don't have to go calculate all these things on my own. And it basically, you link all of your bank accounts and credit cards and it will automatically categorize all of this stuff for you. And then each month it sends me like, hey, look at your expenses, see where you're spending. And I can constantly just go look and see where I'm at spending wise. And that, I think I started that a year ago, I want to say. And that's been really helpful for me to identify, like I can categorize like Henley's daycare or my cleaning lady or whatever, all of my Venmos that I'm sending to people. Like most people don't track all their Venmos. Well, guess what? That's still you spending money. And I have to go in there on my app and be like, because it'll say this is uncategorized. What does this fall under? And I'm like, well, that was me eating out again, And so like things like that really put things into perspective. And I think it's just so important to make sure you're reviewing what those are and also writing out what everything is. So I would say that was a huge thing I did in my early 20s to start figuring things out. Another thing that was really helpful for me too is like I've always actually been really worried about credit card debt, and like we all get in credit card debt. Like let's just fucking start there, because I think people are so hush hush about their debt. They're fine if they have like car payments or whatever, but no one ever wants to admit like they have credit card debt, which is fine. But it's really more common than people make it out to be. So people beat themselves up a ton because they have debt, and like that's life. Like that's the American fucking dream. And you can't beat yourself up so much that you don't get out of it. And I think that because it's such a taboo topic, people are so ashamed of it. No one talks about it. No one asks anyone for advice or help or is vocal enough about it to actually deal with it. They just keep covering it up and hiding it. And the more you hide things like that, the more it's going to stay present in your life. So I started in my start to date journal when we first set our 10 things of like, who am I in my future self in 10 years? What does she look like? And at the time I wrote, I don't have any credit card debt. I don't think I had a lot of credit card debt at the time. I would say it was probably like $10,000. And I don't know what it was from. Vacations, dumb spending, who knows? I put random shit on there all the time back then. And I would like tell myself I'd pay it off, and then we just like wouldn't. And we would pay some off, and then we would add more to it, or we'd get a bonus, and we just like constantly putting it on credit cards. And when I was doing the Rachel Hollis thing of like, what do you want to look like in 10 years? I was like, that bitch has no credit card debt. Like, she debt free. Like, she's not spending a bunch of money on her credit cards. She already deals with her finances before she gets to that point, and she doesn't have to worry about that. And her money that she's working her ass off for isn't going back onto a credit card. And I wrote it probably for 2 years, and suddenly, guess what? It started to come to fruition. Like, I was more aware of it. Like, I don't want to have credit card debt. I'm trying not to have this. I'm writing it every single day. And I would stop spending mindlessly on my credit card, or I was working harder to pay them off, or weird things would end up happening. The universe would bring my way that like made it so we just didn't have credit card debt. And I think that it's super important to identify what your financial goals really are and do something similar where you're writing it out, or you're dealing with it almost every single day, like thinking about it, focusing on it, you're aware of it, because finances are so easy to put on the back burner. Because I've done that a million times, still have, hello, just did the savings thing. But the more you're identifying what those goals are, similar to like what we say, like the more you're writing them out, dealing with them every day, this is a goal, this is a goal, this is a goal, the more you're actually going to start doing it, rather than like, oh, I wish that I didn't have this. Well, wishing doesn't make anything happen. So I think whatever you're going to do, you have to identify what you want your financial like goals to be, and you need to think about them often. And I always have them every year, but I don't focus on them a lot until this year. I'm like really trying to not let it go on the back burner, because normally everything else takes precedent, and I let my financial goal be like, damn, I really wanted to do that this year and I just didn't.
And credit cards are so hard because they are so great. So I just barely got my first credit card 5-6 months ago. I've never had a credit card. I was always like terrified because I knew myself. I knew that if I had a credit card, especially in my 20s, I would have been like, this is free money. Like, let's just slide it and keep sliding it until it doesn't slide anymore. So I never had a credit card at all. And then like with the Amex, the airline points, whatever, I was like, well, I actually could really use this. So I need to like get my shit figured out on why I'm so afraid of a credit card. And I still like hesitate every time to use it because I'm so terrified of it. But like, that's the credit card that works the best for me because I love to travel and that helps me travel more. So I do think it is helpful having a credit card because truly those Sky Miles have been extremely helpful for me. So looking at your credit card options and picking the one that works the best for you. And Tony has a credit card that actually like gives him money back. So he doesn't get like points towards flights or anything. It just gives him money back. And that's helpful as well because we're getting money back. So I do think credit cards are very helpful, but they are a slippery slope that they are not free money. Like you need to pay them off and don't mindlessly put money on them. Like don't spend $3 on your credit card unless you're immediately going to pay it off.
Well, and I think that's what's so interesting to me is people look at a credit card so differently than they would look at like a car payment, for example. Like a car payment has this fixed amount that you pay every single month. And I feel like people get credit card debt and they're super quick to like just think it's like this tiny little expense in the back of their mind that like, oh, I need to make a payment on this. And it's probably not very much. They're probably not paying it all off, but they're so quick to be like, oh, I want a razor, or I want a motorcycle, or I want a jet ski, or I want a boat, or we want this trailer. And they're not realizing that they went and got all of this and they still have this payment, and then they still have this credit card debt, or they've maxed out their spending because they now have this trailer that they need to pay for, and then they're using their credit cards. And so it's like one of the things that I know I worked really hard to do was like to not make decisions like that. Like I've always been super careful of like what is going to be our monthly expenses that we're obligated to pay. And I think it was because of that spreadsheet. Like I could see this is the number we have to pay every single month, no matter what. and I
Mhm.
don't want to add to that. And I think it's just really tricky because people want to go and live these lives and they want to have all the cool things. They want to keep up with their friends, but they're not realizing like what that financial commitment is. And then they go get it. And then they still have their credit card debt because they don't actually have, like, they're spending way more than they're earning. And
Mhm.
that's just like, that's America, man.
It really is. And it's sad because I actually was talking to a patient the other day and he was a teacher at a high school. And I was like, oh, what class do you teach? Like just making conversation. And he's like, oh, a finance class. And I was like, what is a finance class? And I guess it's a new thing that schools are doing in high school at like 11th grade, at least the schools up here. I don't know about down there, but in 11th grade, all kids are retired, required to take a finance class. And I was just telling him, I was like, dang, I really wish that that was required for me in high school because I didn't ever get
Mhm.
taught about finances besides what my parents told me. And my dad was the worst with money and did not know how to save money. Like he just knew how to spend money. And like I never learned anything about credit cards, about like I one time bounced my check. Like I bounced a check and my mom, I swear to God, could have murdered me. And that's like when we had a financial discussion. But up until that point, I was just like, well, I think that this check will still work. Like I'll just write this check and it will be fine. But like you really need to learn these things. And like it's such a taboo topic because nobody's ever learned anything and nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing. Like
Well,
honestly.
and I think that's what's so sad to me is like, it, the world has made us think it's similar to like how much you get paid, and like they're starting to bring like light to that now, or it's like people should be having these conversations. That's how you learn, that's how you get better, that's how you even learn how to ask for the raise or realize that you're underpaid. And the more
Mhm.
that we're not talking about actual finances of like our regular financial situations, the more that all of us just don't have awareness. And that's why it's like I think I've usually been pretty open about mine. Like I'm not scared to tell people how much I make. I'm not scared to tell people how much my bills are. I'm not scared to tell them like anything about it because I know that I could be helping someone, but also maybe they can give me some advice because I could probably use it sometimes.
Mhm.
Um Back to what you were saying too, I forgot to say, like, I love that you brought that up about the credit card too. Is like picking a credit card that works for whatever lifestyle you have, like whatever your lifestyle situation is. Make sure you're looking into like what that looks like and maximizing off of that. Like so many people are so scared to get a credit card, but they're not realizing if they could just like start with one that works for whatever their life situation is and just like really be dedicated and disciplined, like you're going to benefit from that. You're going to get like rewards. You're going to be able to travel for free. You're going to get money back. Like so many things that these credit cards offer, but there's the dumbasses out there that don't take advantage of that. And that's why like credit card companies still can make a bunch of money, but they actually give a lot of money back to people. So
Mhm.
I love that you brought that up because I think it's a huge thing that people either are too scared to deal with or they're just like not maximizing where they should.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely like I was terrified of a credit card. Like I was literally terrified. And even still, I'm terrified of it.
I
I just have to
know.
be like really smart about it because I love to spend money and it is so easy to think that a credit card is free money when it's not.
For sure. I still like being debt free is still like a thing, even though like I don't have credit card debt right now. Like it's still something I'll probably continue to write as a goal because I never want to let myself forget that. I want to make sure that that's still a thing. But I'm trying to think what else would I give advice for. I think identifying what your financial goals are is a huge part of anything financial. And I really think you have to be disciplined and dedicated to doing it.
Mhm.
Like I said, I've been ignoring it. One thing that helped me, I think it was around the year of COVID, where I was like really trying to like get us better ahead and start trying to figure things out so that we weren't like living paycheck to paycheck. And one of the things I did, and it was really easy because Wally was gone at training for 6 months, but I was like, is this a want or a need? Like, would I want to go buy something? If I want to go to Target, if I want to go wherever, or if I'm out shopping, like, do I want this or do I need this? And it really helped me stop mindlessly spending when I went to Target. Like if I went to Target and I just like felt the need to go to Target, because sometimes we get that need, I would still only buy things that were an actual need when I was in that headspace of like, is this a want or a need? And I would make it so that it was limited. It was only like 2 weeks out of the month. So like one paycheck, it was like, these are only want or need purchases and I can't buy anything else. And it was really easy for those 6 months. And then Wally came back and it was out the window, but I was saving a lot of money during that time and it was really, really helpful. So this year we kind of started doing something similar where once a month when we get paid in our like spending account, him and I both get $100 each cash. We go pull out the cash. He gets $100, I get $100, and that's my $100 to spend if I want to go out with friends to eat. That's the money I used last night to buy my crystals. Like that was my money, and until we get paid again, I don't get to buy anything that's not like a necessity for our house. So like our groceries can still come out, our gas can still come out. Any like, I don't know, something random that we have to like pay for can come out, but everything else just sits there. Him and I get this $100 and that's it. We get to eat the food at home because we have grocery money and that's it. And it's been like the first month that we did it in January, we saved $1,000 just like that.
Dang,
In 2
that's
weeks.
awesome. That's a really good idea. I need to get better at, I'm very good at convincing myself that my wants are needs. And I
Mhm.
need to get better at like really distinguishing the fact of like, I don't need this right now. Like, yeah,
Well, and I
I don't
think
know.
it might help too. Like it helped me to know that like I don't have to do this right now, but in 2 weeks when we have like a little bit more money, I'm gonna come back and buy that. Have I
Mhm,
had the need to do that? No, because by that time I actually don't care to buy the thing anymore. That
mhm,
helps me feel better in the situation of like I don't have to have it right now, but in 2 weeks I'm coming back for it. And then guess what?
mhm.
2 weeks comes by and I don't even need it anymore.
No, that's
So
a really, really good idea.
it also really helped him identify how much he was spending like at the gas station or getting his burritos. Like he works in like construction-y industry and those people, they just really go to the gas station a lot. Like it's energy drinks, it's
I think it's a guy thing
burritos.
because
It could
Tony does the
be.
same thing. And I'll be like, what the hell did you buy at the gas station?
It's
Like,
like candy and
yeah,
drinks and like it's so expensive.
it adds up so fast. But I do the same thing with coffee. I love going and getting coffee and like, we're having the yoga studio right by my favorite coffee place is not good because I'll be like, I'll just run there and go grab a coffee. Like, bitch, I have so much coffee at home. I do not need to be paying to go get coffee. I really don't. So
Yeah.
I do the same thing in just different ways.
Yeah. So he like I kept trying to get him to go on this journey with me and he like would always take it really offensive. And I had to be like, listen, we are both guilty of this. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's not who we're not in competition here. What the point is we have financial goals. We both want to accomplish it. The only way this will work is if you agree to sign up with this. And that's it. It's not a competition. It's not a matter of who spends more. It's just we need to get better. So let's get better because he'd
Mhm.
always get really defensive. And so we did it. And the first month he was like, he blew through his money and he was just like, I didn't realize how much I was spending. Like I realized I'm more of a problem than I thought I was. And I was like, I fucking knew that, but thanks for validating me. But it is hard. Like there's times where I'm like, ooh, I want to go to lunch with my friends, but also I'm gonna have to wait until the next one because I'm out of my money.
Mhm.
And it just really put it into perspective, like how much we mindlessly spend throughout the week and like we make way too much money and we were basically living paycheck to paycheck. There were some
Same.
times where we weren't
Yeah.
and sometimes where we were. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Mhm.
We have to get it together. And so when we do it, it'll like, I want to get to the point where we have like the money just in our bank account, but because we're still new to like not just spending our money, I'm putting it in a savings account so that we don't spend it. Like, even though it's now there, I don't want to get paid the next time where we can just suddenly spend and then we just blow through that and then we're back at square one. So once that 2 weeks is up, because he gets paid every 2 weeks, I'll put that extra money, whatever was left over from that check, I'll put it in the savings account. And then his new check, it's the same thing. Like and I think we're both going to try and still do the $100 thing every time. We're not going to be as strict with ourselves. There's going to be that 2 week
Mhm.
period where it's like, no matter what, this is what we get. And then the next one, it's like, I really want to stick to this, but also if I want to like spend a little bit more, I'm just going to do it.
Mhm.
So that's what we're trying to do this year. I think it's going to work.
That's a really good idea. That's a really, really good idea. I might steal it.
You should. It's actually pretty difficult.
Well, yeah,
But
like
it's helpful.
$100 is not that much. Remember when we were kids and it was like $100 seemed like so much money. And now it's like $100 is like barely getting enough groceries. Like I
Well, like,
wish.
I just really like to enjoy life. And it comes back
Mhm,
to that's why I'm in the situation I'm in. I work really hard so I can play hard. And
mhm.
it's not making it so it's easier for me to reach the goals that I want. Like if I want to have Airbnbs all over the world or I want to have all these other things, I have to get it together now. I can't keep waiting. So those are the only tips I feel like I have for now. Check your savings accounts, what interest you're getting, check into like what your lifestyle spending is and credit cards, probably identify what all of your bills and expenses are, and then just like you got to just start.
Yeah. My tips are to be mindful of what you're spending your money on and be, what's like the right word? Mindful is
Smart.
not the right word, I guess. Be like, notice what you're spending money on. Really pay attention to your bank account and really notice what you're spending money on. And find a credit card that works the best for your lifestyle and pay your credit card off.
Yes, and like I think that the best way to pay those off too, it's like that snowball thing that like Dave Ramsey talks about. That's what's always
Mhm.
helped me the most is like pick pick the smallest one, pay as much as you can on it, get it paid off as soon as possible, add that same to the next one. And like that's kind of like the debt snowball is exactly what I've done. Whenever I paid them off, and it's the easiest way to do it. And you just have to be like, I don't want to be tied to these anymore, and you just do it.
Mhm.
If anyone wants us to like chat with you more about this, we're more than happy to. I'm an open book. I will share my spreadsheet with you if you would like that. Taylor can send pictures of like what her thing is. Probably like I'll block out all of our personal stuff, obviously, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll share with you kind of like what's working for us. And if you want to like slide into our DMs and talk to us about like credit cards or anything, like let us know. I think that it's like, I don't know, it's a focus for me this year, and hopefully something that we said has helped you.
Yes, I agree. It's a focus for myself as well. And it's a
Sucks
hard road, but it is worth it to not be stressed about money all the
for
time.
sure. It's just like, yeah, I've got to like get it together. So,
Mhm.
do you hear that noise?
No.
It sounds like my wine fridge is about to blow up. It's like getting louder and louder. It's like a wind up toy. I have no idea what's happening.
I hope it doesn't blow up.
So sorry if you guys can hear that. Wow. Okay, is there anything else on finances?
I don't think so.
Okay. We'll definitely share, like we'll make a post for you guys that we can share that you guys can like look at, because I know that was a lot of information, but like we said, hit us up about it. Now back to like what's been happening in our life. I have a giant zit on my face because I just got micro needling, as you saw on our Instagram, and I'm here for it. I fully support micro needling. My skin all around, minus this like one breakout, I think is doing really well. And my neck wrinkles are gone right here. These ones that I had in the front, they're fucking gone.
Oh man, I need to do that. I have a horrible neck wrinkle right now. This week has been crazy for me. I've gone to Salt Lake more than I've been home, so that's been pretty wild. We did have our Botox party and that was so fun. My lips look amazing. The bruising has gone down a ton, but I am so happy with my lips this time. And my Botox is kicking in this morning. My skin is just thriving. I don't know why Botox helps my skin so much, but I am here for it. And yeah, I don't know. This week's been very strange for me.
Yeah, I would definitely say I've seen you a ton. I'm not sad about it. I do feel bad for you. It just like turned out to be like the weirdest week. Like we
Mhm.
did not, I think because we were planning so many different things in January because of the cruise, we just did not realize how we were scheduling February, and it just kind of
Mhm.
hit, and I think we were both kind of like, this week kind of sucks.
Yeah,
But I had a lot of happiness with it too. Like
no, I did
I don't
too.
regret it. It just, I know it took a toll on both of us.
Yeah, I am not regretting it because it was like a good week, but I will definitely never plan like that again because I'm really, really, really exhausted right now. I've driven a total of 6 hours
I'm
this
just
week.
gonna say right now, I already know you're gonna do it again. So
I-
don't say that you're not gonna do it again. It will happen
And
again.
I've also gone through 2 entire tanks of gas, and my tank is at a half tank right now. Like
That's
that's insane for
wild.
a week. Luckily, I mean, it is expensive to get gas, but like it's not as expensive as like Tony's truck, but like two
Yeah,
tanks of gas in a week is insane.
for sure. The good thing is like we have a big break now. Like I don't
Mhm.
think I see you until the 23rd to be exact.
That's
So
sad.
it'll be a bit different because it was like so fun seeing you. I think it just
Mhm.
every time it happens though, it always just reminds me of like how sad I feel that
I
you don't
know.
live by me. You know, like
I know,
if you
same.
lived here, I can't even I already just can like internally feel the joy that I know I would have every
I
day. Like the
know. And
comfort and joy.
I already basically live at your house, and I feel like that would just get worse. Except we could like share. You could come to
Yeah.
my house a lot, you know.
Yeah.
But I do have a question for you because as I've shared before, driving in the car is like the time I really think. And with having so many hours in the car, I had a
I
random
loved it.
thought. I had a random thought come to me last night. And okay, remember how back in the day we used to take egg whites and mix it with mousse to like scrunch our hair?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, how did we know to do that? Like we didn't really use with the internet. We didn't have social media. Like was it just like a game of telephone of like if you take these egg whites and put them in your hair, it gives you that crunchy curl that every girl dreams of when they're 13 years old. Like how did we know to do that?
It was in Cosmo. That's where I
Was
read
it?
it. It was in that's where I got all my stuff back then. It was magazines.
Really? I guess I forgot about magazines giving all those tips.
Yeah,
I
they
just
had
like
all of the tips.
I got a smell driving home last night and it smelled like the egg whites mixed with the mousse because it was like a distinct smell, you know? And I was like, why the hell did we do that? Like that is so strange that we did that. Right?
I will happily say that I never did it, but I know people that did. I
You
did read
did
about it
it?
in Cosmo. I think my sister did for sure. Oh yeah, she definitely did. I remember now. Um, but also we forgot to even mention that we saw a psychic last night, I guess is what she's called. And is that why you smelled that?
I don't know. I didn't even think about that.
I think it is.
I got just like a random whiff and I was like, wow, that smells like egg whites and mousse. And then I was like, wait a second. Why did we do that with our hair? That was so strange. And my mom would get so mad because I would use all the eggs for my hair. So
So
weird.
I guarantee that's exactly why you smelled that because I think with that ability that you have, the fact that you were even able to identify specifically what it smelled like tells me that it was because of last night.
That's so creepy. Stop.
I mean, I had weird stuff. Anyways, we went to a psychic in a salt cave. I did not know what I was signing up for. They were basically Taylor and our friend Tanya were like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this on Saturday." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I like ignored it. And then we hung out 17,000 times this week and somehow I was just like, "Yeah, I'll come." But the whole time I didn't actually know what was happening. And it was just really interesting. And I think I've convinced Wally that he'll go. He
Really?
wants to go. He was like, "Oh, if it's a group thing, I'll go." And I was like,
I thought a group thing would make him not want to go.
same. So I think we should do like a triple date and go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. I definitely was not up to hearing from anybody. I just really wanted to be an observer last night because I was kind of like stressed about it. And I'm happy it went that way, but if I do it again, I'll definitely be open to like carrying a message or two. But
It
it was
wasn't
really
scary.
cool. No, it wasn't scary at all. I just am weird about that stuff and I'm just trying to embrace it more, but I just wasn't sure what to expect. So I just wanted to be like a fly on the wall.
I think for you, part of it is you know it's going to make you emotional. You know it's going to fuck with you in your head and it's also going to make you immediately cry. And I think that scares you. Like
Mhm.
hearing whatever it is that someone has to say, you don't even know who is going to come through, but you just assume it's your dad. And because of that, you're just like, I can't do it. It's going to make me a total mess.
Mhm.
And because of that, you don't want to. In my mind, I was just like, I have zero people, no guardians, never once felt them. And it's just me on this earth figuring out life. And I just went into it like, whatever, nothing's gonna happen for me. And my bitch ass got called out, and that was very wild to me. And also not as scary as I thought it would be.
Yeah, she 100% got called out. Her guardians wanted to talk to her, and she's still processing the fact that she has guardians and that
I don't know
you
what that
don't have
means.
to know them. They're just souls, they're just spirits. Like it doesn't have to even be someone that died.
I don't like that. I don't like strangers. I need to know like why you picked me and who you are. I can't trust you. I have trust issues also. So like I have to know who you are because I can't trust that you're guiding me if I don't even know who the fuck you are.
That's where faith comes in. You just have faith that that you trust them. There also was a deck of oracle cards that jumped out at Shelby, and they have them right here. They're inner child ones, and I pulled her card yesterday before I drove home, and it was insane. And I think that I also got myself a deck because they are really great. But it was just a very interesting night how everything transpired and the things that happened and the crystals that like jumped out at us. And we did this, she had us do this thing that like we called all of our energies back, and that was wild. Like feeling your energies come back into your body was really insane. And it was just like a strange night, but a really cool night as well.
It was okay. So like I hadn't really thought about the oracle card situation until you sent me your like talk to text while you were driving. And then I like read it while you said it, and I was like, oh, that is interesting. And then it hit me fully this morning when I was having all of my weird activity. It like really hit me of like, oh my God, like that is actually really weird, because I had forgotten that you were like, I really want to get oracle cards. And you were like searching and searching and searching. And we'd already been in that section when we went over there. And like for some reason, like I just thought it'd be funny to be like, because I hate the word inner child. I was like, oh my God, look, Taylor, you need this. And you're like, you need it. And I was like, no, you need it.
And she's like, no, I'm afraid of it. And I was like, bitch, I'm buying these for you. Like you need them.
So yeah, it's just really weird. And I think it's wild, especially because I had like that wild therapy session this week that's just like mentally kind of made me in a funk, in a weird place of just like realizing how sad life really is and how often I like ignore it, because I don't know, that's just what I taught myself to do. And then that happened, and I was just like, wow.
What was so
But it
interesting is the card that you pulled tied in to your therapy session so much. Like it basically said almost the exact same things that your therapist said. It was so strange.
and I also tied into that freaking psychic, and that was even weirder. So I don't know. The universe is a wild thing. It did help me feel like I'm on the right path. I'm totally still tied into my intuition, which I haven't been feeling her lately because of like traveling has just like put me in a funk. But last night and then like therapy and like all of these things unfolding, I was like, Taylor and I are like totally on the right path, and we have got to stop doubting ourselves. So I don't know. So that's our catch up. I think our week has just been so busy. I have no idea what's happening in the world besides MGK and Megan Fox apparently are broken up, but also it could be a publicity stunt for the Super Bowl. We will report back by the next time we record for sure. I'm very curious.
I hope that they're not broken up. I love their toxic little love circle.
I want you to know that the thing that I'm most sad about this weekend and the fact that you're not here right now is I'm dying to record our ick video.
I know.
And I'm just so sad we haven't been able to yet.
I know. Because they're your icks. I know. And they are a toxic couple. They're like that couple in high school that you're like, you guys are either going to end up dead or you're going to end up burying a body together, or like something terrible is going to happen to you too. But I still am there for it. Like I love them together.
You know what I'm wondering suddenly that just hit me? I wonder if our listeners, you'll have to let us know when you listen to this, if you guys would be interested in an event at the Salt Cave. Like if we got a group of us to go to this medium psychic, like that would be such a fun activity.
It would be. It was so cool, honestly.
It was
really
so cool, just like the experiences that other people were having. And I don't know why, for some reason, I just feel like we should do that as a podcast, but y'all are gonna have to let us know. And MGK is definitely on my list of icks for you. That ick video is just so funny. If you guys haven't seen it on the internet, it's like this funny voice and people do like icks for each other, like either their spouses or friends, and it is funny. And I have my list ready. It was a bit hard to, I won't lie, it was hard to put it together.
Damn, I don't even know what to put on my list.
I mean, I put two things and I was like, that's the only ones I can think of right now. And it took me about 2 days. I finalized it this morning because I thought you were coming over. So I was like, all right, I have to finish this list. And I'm excited.
Shit, I guess I better get to work.
Well, you won't see me till the 23rd, so you got
I
time,
have
girlfriend. Anything else we need to update them on?
I am going to start doing women moon circle events every
Yes.
month around the full moon. So probably not on the actual full moon because it's going to be hard to make it work. But with the events, you can do them before or after and still get the same effects. So I will hopefully be like finalizing all the details for the place tomorrow and then like announcing it. It's a complete open invitation. Like I'm even going out on a limb and like just posting it on like classifieds and all the shit because I fully believe in women moon circle events. We did one for our podcast 2 years ago at Murray
Year
Park
and a
and it
half.
was, yeah, it was amazing. And so I'm very excited to do that. So be on the lookout for those details on my IG.
I cannot wait.
I
I
can't
don't
wait
know
either.
what it is, but like all of your texts lately and your long texts and your like brain focus has been like amazing.
It's because I'm
And
taking Adderall like I'm prescribed to do. That's why.
these events I feel like are just gonna be great. And I think this is exactly where you're supposed to be in life and where you are called. And I'm just excited to be part of that journey.
Me too. I'm very
Um,
excited.
and excited that I get to help plan it because you know how I feel about planning things. Except for planning things is very difficult with you because like I'm trying to help you plan this wedding, but it seems hard. I don't
It's
know.
just hard because we don't have a yard yet. Like once all the snow melts and we have a for sure plan about the yard, I'll be way more gung ho of like, okay, let's get decorations and let's figure out like where we're putting things. But right now, like I just look outside and I just see stress. So
Okay, but I think that's like more of like your Enneagram 7 like vibe because like you are saying that about everything. It's like, oh, not yet with a dress. Oh, not yet with the invitations. Oh, not yet with whatever. And it's like, bitch, you can't keep saying not yet. You can't plan the wedding a month in advance. Like everything isn't gonna be like easy to just plan. You just have to do it.
I have
It's
most
Enneagram
things
7.
planned. I have most things planned. I have flowers good to go. I have a bartender good to go. I have an
Those
idea.
are like those are the ones you can wait the longest on. The things that you need to lock in now, you're like, oh, no worries.
Well, I don't want to buy a dress when I'm planning on losing weight. So
There's a thing called alterations.
yeah, true. What happened to my camera just now? It went so blurry. Yeah, you guys, I
Ghost.
don't even know about
She's a
planning
7.
a
It's
wedding.
fine.
I
Why
just
we
know
love
I
you.
trust the universe that everything will just work out how it's supposed to work out. And that's just how I live my life.
Speaking of that, have you seen that like lucky girl energy stuff on TikTok?
Yeah, I have been.
I've actually been saying that to myself.
Me too.
I hope it works. I don't know if
Me
it does
too.
yet. I haven't felt anything yet, but if you guys don't know what it's about, basically you just say that you're lucky and
I'm
everything
lucky
is
and
working in
everything
your
works
favor.
out for me. Yeah.
So that's my new mantra when I see like numbers on the clock or like I'm
When you
just
think
feeling
about my wedding.
or yeah, like if I'm feeling stressed, I'm like, I'm lucky and everything works in my favor. So maybe everyone should try that.
I know that my wedding will work out. It's going to be beautiful no matter what happens. But I just need all the snow to melt so I can have a clear idea of what I'm doing with my yard. And then I'm going to be ready to roll.
All right. I'll be ready to go too when you're ready. Okay, are you ready for Dear Champs Drink Champs?
Do, 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 do. Yeah.
Dun dun dun. Dear Champs Drink Champs, do other people hear the fear or anxiety in your voice when you're talking? I fully believe yes, but I think the answer is no.
I mean, if you don't hear it in my voice when I'm talking, because my voice gets very, very, very shaky, I am shocked by that because literally it's actually kind of embarrassing how I sound when I'm scared or anxious.
I think people can sense fear or anxiety and other things like nervous tics, like laughing too much or playing with your hair or using your hands or other things. I don't think very often you can actually hear it in your voice. Every now and then, absolutely, you have to be able to. But I have an anxiety or fear around that happening, like when I speak up in certain situations or like in meetings when I'm presenting. There's times where I'm like presenting on something that makes me uncomfortable. And I'm like, for sure, they can tell I'm so fucking insecure right now. But I have actually asked coworkers afterward, like, could you hear how stressed I was? And they were like, no, you sounded totally fine. But I think our brain hears it because we can feel it. And
Mhm.
we think that's happening. So we almost make it worse for ourselves. But I think it's more of like using your hands too much or playing with your hair. Or when I do like videos on Instagram, you guys will notice I'm always playing with my earring. Half the time, I don't even have an earring in and I'm still playing with my ear. It's because for some reason I'm uncomfortable. Like those are the things I think people notice.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Like you, when you do it, you're always like, you always touch your face. And I'm always like, girl, you're going to give yourself zits. Why are you touching your face?
Has my hands on my face right now.
That is one thing I would say with this micro needling that I have not been able to touch my face much. And I realize how much I touch my face too.
Yeah.
I try not to because I know it makes me break out, but I don't know. I believe that most of the time, like when Taylor is always like, you guys can hear it in my anxiety in my voice. And it's like, I actually thought you were totally fine. Every time you said that on like the episodes you recorded, I always am like, no, you sounded totally normal.
It's so strange to me because I feel like my voice shakes so bad, especially if like I'm trying not to cry. It'll be like, "Ooh, hey guys," like it's so dumb.
No, I don't know. I think there's definitely times like when you're super emotional, that's when your voice changes. But when you're just nervous or you have anxiety, I don't think it really picks up in how you're speaking, but I think your brain hears it and that's why you're
Mhm.
telling yourself that. So yeah, I think it's a great question. I think all of us question that or worry about it. But like my husband, he has really, really bad anxiety. I can hear his anxiety in his voice so often.
Really?
His is really, but I can read him so well. I think other people wouldn't be able to tell, but because I know him, I'm like, oh my God, he's so anxious right now. Like,
Mhm.
just stop talking because you sound like far too anxious.
Really? I've never
Yeah.
noticed anxiety in his voice at all.
But can you notice in Tony's voice?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Well,
well,
sometimes I notice more in his body language than his
yeah.
voice.
See, it's like one of those like little things.
Mhm.
Wally has like some body cues that will tell me, or his voice will for sure tell me. But I think it's just because I know
Interesting.
him and he has severe anxiety.
Interesting, huh?
So
Well, let
yeah.
us know your guys' thoughts. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, please share it with a friend. Make sure you like, rate, review on wherever you listen to your podcast and follow us on Instagram. We're going to start doing some giveaways and stuff. So make sure you're tuning in there so that you can win some cool stuff. We will
Yes.
talk to you guys next week.
Peace out.
Bye.